make me worthy. These were the words used when Union Wesley AME Zion Church's Reverend Dr. Wesley Wade Bowden selected the first 3 altar boys to serve in our church. Today, on our annual day, the Acolytes of Union Wesley AME Zion Church pay tribute to the late Mrs. Catherine Vaughn Hubbard. In 1996, Mrs. Catherine Vaughn Hubbard assumed directorship under the pastoral leadership of Reverend Dr. Bowden. Mrs. Hubbard served faithfully until 2008. More than 100 children and youth, ranging in age from 7 to 17, has served as Union Wesley Acolytes under the leadership of Mrs. Hubbard. She served with love and compassion for the work, and most importantly, she cared for the youth members of the ministry, their well-being, and their spiritual growth. In 2008, her assistant, Ms. Glenna Joyner, assumed the directorship under the pastoral leadership of our former pastor, now presiding elder, Reverend Dr. Alvin Tyrone Durant. Mrs. Rita Hunley Harris was selected as her assistant. They continue to serve faithfully in this capacity. Mrs. Hubbard would ensure that Union Wesley's acolytes served in leadership roles on the national level as well. She would encourage the acolytes to join with other acolytes from across the United States in the National Acolyte Festival. She also made sure that they served at Mid-Atlantic Episcopal annual conferences, Christian education midwinter meetings, and other worship services. At a past annual conference, one of our very own had the honor of ushering Bishop W. Darren Moore into the service. Mrs. Hubbard was dedicated to and firm with the acolytes. She was known for being strict and teaching the youth the right way to do things. She would ensure that they were perfectly dressed in their crisp, freshly dry-cleaned uniforms. She also led by example. She would be dressed from head to toe in the acolyte colors of red, white, and black. She required the same attire of her assistants. If someone's earrings were too big, they were coming off. If you were chewing gum or eating candy, she would pass that person a tissue to dispose of whatever they were eating. Mrs. Hubbard was a staunch, prominent advocate for fundraising on behalf of the Acolyte ministry. Annually, she would call upon all her family and friends to donate to the ministry. When Mrs. Hubbard retired from the directorship, she served in the role of emeritus and advisor. She was an exemplary leader who passed down all her knowledge. Whenever guidance was needed, Mrs. Hubbard was quick to render assistance. Mrs. Hubbard leaves a fond memory in the hearts of all her acolytes and peers.